The challenge to our guys is to handle the psychology of success, continue to stay grounded, continue to do the things you need to do to keep moving forward, per head coach Mike Elko from a couple weeks back. I said last week I would be reading that statement to start every preview episode because I think that perfectly depicts what the program needs every week and the mindset they have to continue to have success. They've been able to find it this far. The challenge is finding a way to sustain it. That's what separates good college football teams from elite. Howdy, howdy, fans of the 12th Man. Welcome into this preview episode of the Above the Yell podcast. I'm your host, Weston Pope. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please continue to like, subscribe, and comment as I plan to keep this thing rolling all season. Let's waste no time and dive right into this matchup. Fifth-ranked Texas A&M will host the Florida Gators Saturday night in Kyle Field. It will be the last time we see A&M at home until November 15th. A&M will be on the road for an entire month. Another massive opportunity here for A&M as they face a talented, despite what their record reflects, Florida Gators football team. The Gators took down number 9 Texas last Saturday in the Swamp. It was a Florida team that looked inspired and, frankly, a team that played like they had nothing to lose. And that's what makes this Gators team dangerous on Saturday. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this team can beat anyone on any Saturday if they're firing on all cylinders. As I always do, let's get to know our opponent. 5-star phenom DJ Lagway leads the Gators offense with 988 yards passing on the season, along with 7 touchdowns and 7 picks. Lagway threw 5 picks in one game against the LSU Tigers, which inflated his interception numbers. But it would be foolish to think that this kid can't throw it all over the yard on you and beat you with his leg. He's a very talented young quarterback. Jaden Baugh leads their rushing attack for the Gators offense with 396 yards on 76 carries and 3 touchdowns. That comes out to about 5.2 yards a carry. My X factor for this game, and he was an X factor last Saturday against Texas, is Dallas Wilson. He's a true freshman wide receiver who the Gators and all the people around that program who have been very excited about. Wilson leaped onto the scene last weekend against Texas with 6 catches for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Going forward for this Gators offense, I don't know that there's a reason this guy doesn't start, or at the very least, share a lot of the first team reps. He's a big frame guy at 6'3", 213 pounds, and I expect him to be a major threat this Saturday against the Aggies. The issue with Florida this season, up until last Saturday, has been their offense. They have not been able to get things going offensively. They struggled to find their identity. Florida is 98th in the country in yards per game, in points per game, 94th in total yards per game, 74th in passing yards per game, and 101st in rush yards per game. If you're Florida, that's just not good enough. That is not, you don't want to be that low in the rankings. Most Florida fans have called for Billy Napier to be fired. I'm not real sure what the stance is on that now after the Texas game. But your season has not really gone, especially with Lagway. A lot of people were high on Lagway. Really, a lot of people in the country outside of the Florida Gators fan base were very high on Lagway. And the season just hasn't gone as expected. They're in a dangerous spot, and I think when teams are in that spot, they make for dangerous teams. Defensively, the Gators have been very sound. That has been their strongest unit. They're ranked 24th in total defense, 26th in scoring defense, 26th in rushing defense, and 49th in passing defense. This is going to be a strength-on-strength matchup. The Florida secondary has been very good up to this point. We know A&M has at wide receiver in KC Concepcion and Mario Craver. But if Florida is able to neutralize these guys and force A&M to ground and pound, Florida, I think, has a real chance of pulling off the upset and hanging around late into the fourth quarter. So that is a matchup to keep an eye on. Florida is still a little banged up on the defensive line. It sounds like this has kind of been an issue all season long. According to the latest SEC availability report, Caleb Banks and LJ McCray are expected to be out, along with many others on that list, but I don't feel the need to go through them all. But yeah, they're banged up a little bit, so I think Florida is expected to be without quite a few of their guys, as they have been up to this point in the season. Moving on to Texas A&M, what will we see from them? How will this A&M passing attack fare against Florida secondary? The clock is ticking for this A&M squad. It's only a matter of time. I think we've all waited to see a complete four-quarter performance from this A&M team, and it hasn't happened yet. We've seen the offense light up the scoreboard. We've seen the defense shut down offenses, but we just haven't seen both of them at the same time. A&M has one of the most dynamic passing attacks in the country, much in part due to Mario Craver and KC Concepcion. Up to this point, Craver has 557 yards on the season. Concepcion is shortly behind with 401 yards. This 1-2 punch at wide receiver has paid dividends for this A&M offense. This is something we have not seen in a very long time. The catch and run ability for these two guys is simply off the charts. For me, in this game, it's simple. Get the ball to these guys and let them work in space. Stop trying to take the top off and force the ball downfield. I thought last week against Mississippi State, A&M was trying to force the ball too much and shooting themselves in the foot on some second and third down situations. This week against Florida, I'd like to see the offense sustain some drives, stay out on the field longer, especially early, and kind of just try to chisel away at this Florida defense with some quick throws, get into a rhythm early offensively. I'm not saying A&M shouldn't take a couple shots during this game, but if you rewatch last weekend's game, it felt like A&M was just being unnecessarily aggressive. They've done that a time or two outside of that game, but I think against Mississippi State, there were just too many forced throws downfield. We haven't really seen Reed consistently connect on most of those deep shots, but he's been very efficient in the middle of the field with his short to mid throws. I think it's important for A&M to focus on its strengths this game and not waste any opportunities to sustain drives. We know how talented and impactful Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens are for this offense. Owens had his breakout game last Saturday, rushing for 142 yards on 21 carries. Le'Veon Moss was dealing with some stomach issues. Sounds like that's kind of been a reoccurring thing this season, so they're working through that. But Reuben Owens carried the rock and was a large part of that rushing attack. We knew he was good. We know the ability of these guys. I expect there to be continuity for Moss and Owens as a 1-2 punch there in the backfield. They've been really, really good in first and second down this season. Moving on to defensively for A&M, how do you wrestle this inspired Gators offense? A&M is 48th in the country in points per game, 21st in total yards per game, 32nd in pass yards per game, and 32nd in rush yards per game. Of course, those are rankings based off of what A&M has allowed defensively. And if A&M wants to find success, I think it continues by causing chaos on third down. In the last episode, I coined third down as the Mike money down. A&M has held their last two opponents, Auburn and Mississippi State, to 1 of 23 on third down. That's just an absolutely insane number, and it's a huge ask for that to continue. And I'm not saying I really expect it to continue, but if A&M can force Florida into some third down situations, especially third and long, A&M has proven to be successful and very lethal on third down. Cassius Howell has worked into what we thought he was capable of. Howell leads the SEC with 7 sacks. That also puts him at second in the country. The Florida offensive line played really well against Texas last weekend. They were able to get some nice protection for Lagway, give him time. So for A&M, it'll be really important to pressure Lagway and make him uncomfortable early, especially playing on the road. It sounds like Scooby Williams, middle linebacker, he will be back off injury. According to the latest report, he is probable to play. The last time we saw him play was against Notre Dame. In the meantime, Damian Sanford, number 27, has filled in for him. And I thought Damian Sanford, up to this point, has played phenomenal So that's something to me that can't be overlooked. And I would still love to see more of Sanford. So I'm interested to see how Elko balances that, because I think Sanford is too talented to not play him consistently. But also Scooby, he's a veteran guy. He's been a big part of that defense. So I'm interested to see how they kind of split reps. The path for an A&M victory is simple, and it kind of comes down to three different things for me. One, A&M has to limit penalties. A&M is 125th in the country when it comes to penalties. They've been able to get by this far, but I've said it before, if they don't find a way to clean it up, it will catch up with them and cost them a game. You can't continue being the most penalized team on the field and expect to win every game. A&M has to find a way to fix those early mistakes. They did well in the second half last week. They started off pretty rocky in the first half with 7 penalties. I believe they only had 2 after the first half. So they were able to improve pretty quickly. But I think we need to see them come out and improve right away and just be better right away. Secondly, continue to improve on third down. We saw A&M convert 50% of their third downs last Saturday. I think if they can hover around that number, they can keep drives alive, and just continue to be successful and find their rhythm offensively. Lastly, for Marcel Reed, complete the throws that are there. Stop trying to do too much and force the ball. We saw Marcel do that last game. He hasn't been able to connect on the deep shots just yet. I think it's simple. Get the ball to your perimeter players and playmakers and let them work. So I'm excited to see how they continue to attack and how they attack this Florida defense. Those are my 3 keys to a win, which brings me to my final prediction. I've got A&M in a very close one, 24-20. I was initially thinking 24-17, but I think this Florida team is still backed into a corner. They know what they're capable of, and I think this could very well be a dogfight. Florida had potentially a program shifting win and program shifting season win last Saturday against Texas. So yeah, I expect Florida to come in inspired and fully confident, knowing that they can beat Texas A&M, who has been really good up to this point of the season. So it could be a very similar game as it was against Auburn a couple of weeks back, just kind of a dogfight. So we'll see. We'll see how this pans out. Guys, that's what I got for this preview episode. If you've made it this far, thank you for your loyalty and support. I typically post a reaction episode right after the game, but unfortunately, I will be out of town this weekend, so I'll not have access to the studio, but I will not be missing the game. So look for the reaction episode to drop probably later Sunday. And please comment with your thoughts and predictions below. As always, gig 'em and God bless.